Alright, we've been talking about the forming of the United States. We talked about the Spanish coming over claiming land. The Spanish claimed land where? Does anybody remember we talked about Spanish claiming land?
President of Mexico.
President of Mexico. They ventured out a little bit out in the southwest United States. Now, after the Spanish came over and they started settling land, the English also wanted to come to present-day United States and settle land as well. So we had the first English permanent settlement. The first permanent English settlement was where?
Jamestown.
It's at Jamestown, Virginia. Can anybody remember what year that was? Jamestown, Virginia. 1607 is correct. Alright. Now, that was the first permanent English settlement. Alright. So now the English also started venturing out to more land. Today we're going to start talking about the English colonies. Alright. The English colonies consisted of 3 regions. I need you to write this down in your social studies notebooks. The English colonies consisted of 3 regions. Those 3 regions were the New England regions, or New England colonies, the Middle colonies, and the Southern colonies. These were the 3 regions of the English colonies. Please make sure we add these to our social studies notes. Puritans were English colonists who settled in New England in about the 1600s. These settlers wanted to form communities where they could follow their own rules. Now, we talked about them wanting to venture out. Why did the Puritans leave and why did the Pilgrims leave? Because they were in search of what? For religious reasons. They were basically tired of being told how to worship. So they wanted to come start a new settlement and worship freely how they wanted to worship. Please add this to your notes. The land of the New England colonies. The land of the New England colonies was shaped by glaciers. Can anybody tell me what they think that might mean? We said the land was shaped by glaciers. Darian?
It was covered in glaciers.
It was covered in glaciers, okay. Anybody else add to add? I didn't hear you, I'm sorry. Glaciers hit their land, okay. And what happened were, these glaciers, once they started to melt, they started carving out the soil, and they started moving the soil of New England down to the middle colonies, okay? New England soil was then not fertile enough to farm. It was tough for them to farm because all their good fertile soil was pushed down to the middle colonies. Add this to your notes as well. It was thin, rocky dirt. Farming was very difficult in this region. For one, the soil was not good. 2, the climate was bad. The climate in the New England region was cold. So it was a very short growing season. And when we talk about growing season, which is a vocabulary word we're going to have in a few minutes later, when we talk about growing season, we're talking about the time and period in which crops can be grown. They had a very short growing season. We will have a quiz on this information, so make sure you're copying these into your notes. Growing season. The time of year when it's warm for plants to grow. The time of year when it's warm for plants to grow. are the states that made up the New England colonies? They included Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut made up the New England colonies. Take a look at our map. This just shows us, if we were to look at present-day United States, this shows us where we would find those colonies. There's a short video that goes with this. We're going to look at it a little bit later on. Let's move down to the middle colonies. The middle colonies. Soil from New England region was deposited here. So the soil from New England was washed down to the middle colonies by those glaciers. And a good growing season. What does that mean, had a good growing season? Willie? It was longer, it's correct. They had longer time to grow crops. They had fertile soil. Does anyone tell me what the term fertile mean? You guys may have talked about this in science. Fertile soil. Jordan? They had good soil, correct? They had wide rivers, which were good for travel. And the woods were filled with wildlife. If I asked you to compare the soil of the middle colonies and the soil of the New England area, what could you tell me? If we had to compare the soil. The New England was rough and hard, and the middle colonies was good. Is absolutely correct. Nathan, you want to add anything? Who had longer growing seasons? Middle colonies had longer growing seasons. Is correct. So they had a longer time to gather crops. All right, turning your books to page 167. 166, 167. On page 166, if you look in the yellow box to your left, you see our vocabulary words for this section. Vocabulary words are town meeting, self-government, dissenters, and banish. What I want you to do is I want you to take those vocabulary words. In a few minutes, I'm going to pass out a vocabulary sheet. I want you to take those vocabulary words, add them on your vocabulary sheet. I want you to write the definition. I want you to put the word in a complete sentence, as well as I want you to draw a picture that represents what that definition means. Okay? So I need the word and the definition. I need it in a sentence, as well as I need you to draw a picture to represent what that means. All right? The second assignment, which we're going to work on probably a little bit later in your science class, since you guys have the computers in your science class, is what I'm going to ask the teacher, Ms. Sharkey, in that room, if she will allow you guys the time to work on a PowerPoint presentation. All right? What this PowerPoint presentation will consist of is, each one of you will be given a topic from the chapter, approximately about 2 pages. And what I want you to do is read that information and put together a PowerPoint. All you got to do is give me 5 slides. And on those 5 slides, I want you to highlight what you think is the most important information. Okay? And then what's going to happen is you're going to take that information and you will present it to the class. You will become the teacher for a day. Okay? As well as what I want you to do is I want you to, using your ATA Gmail account, you will email me that presentation for me to check. Are there any questions? No questions? We're good? All right. So go ahead right now, and we have a couple more minutes before we got to go to art. So I need you to go ahead and start working on your vocabulary words. Once again, we're on page 1, starting on 166. Vocabulary words are in the box to your left. Using your vocabulary sheets that I'm about to pass out in a few seconds, I want you to complete the assignment. All right, go ahead and get started. Anybody sharpen any pencils, anything like that, please take care of that at this time.